wanted to make a quick video just because I read The Royal We on the weekend, and it is cute. It's a cute story. It's complex because it involves sisters and brothers, the royal line, and so I think it was actually better than I expected, just because it it wasn't like body, it wasn't pornographic, like there was a decent like amount of sex, like they were like hormonal. It was, it felt like these individuals were hormonal and at that age, and they found willing partners. um I don't know how else to describe it. It was a complete party scene, which is not my taste, but they were socialites, and they were, on screen, and they automatically met the royalty, and they were automatically admitted to the friendship with royalty. And then, so there were a few things that were just kind of flawed, but being socialites, they had to go to the right clubs, and obviously there was a lot of that, which I didn't actually approve of per se, but it kind of talks about the dynamics of having an audience, and having that expectation of like holding yourself to a certain standard because of that audience. And so it's really unique in that way. I think, and like, it was loving relationships, and it wasn't cheesy loving. It was, they started out as friends and bonding and things like that, so that's good. But I thought it was interesting, and they had the dynamics of jealousy between siblings, and competition, and the constant pressures of social forces, judging them, comparing them, contrasting in ways that were not appealing. And of course, they have those gossip rags, and things like that, and you just have to deal with those people that have no souls. And and what are you going to say? And hopefully everybody discredits that. And I mean, if you let words hurt you, what are you going to do? That sort of thing too, of course. So but it was just interesting, and it talked about different dynamics of other relationships as well. And so I didn't think it was, it wasn't like horribly cheesy. It was like, it was almost 600 pages, so I was surprised. I was trying to read this kind of in one fell swoop, and so I looked to see how many pages it was. 550 for a romance novel. It was exceptional, and it was an exceptional amount of pages for a romance novel. But like I said, it wasn't just about romance. It was about social dynamics. It was about living in the spotlight, and having an audience, having to deal with things like fashion and judgments over those things, and whether they're your values or not, they still count, and things like that. So how to be a responsible adult with people watching, kind of, which in the modern era with social media, that's more and more coming to the fore. And I think that's not a bad thing to start thinking about, how you present yourself, because bullying online is a tremendous force. And if you have trolls, I mean, I've had a troll. I don't have a huge audience, obviously. Hi. To those who are watching, I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this video to the end, frankly. I mean, but it's okay. I have had one troll, and we started messaging. but it's okay. So it all depends on on learning, growing, and who you want to be in this world. And so I think this was actually a decent book, all things considered. It looks cheesy, the back sounds cheesy, but it's 500 pages, so they did put some time into it. And I think it was it's the characters were real. It read really fast, so it wasn't stilted. It wasn't, I need to put this down now. So it was all right. A lot of sex and a lot of partying. So, but, and, you know, some, you know, pure vanity, like, well, fashion, fashion, fashion. But then one of the characters wasn't that into fashion, and this so she needed lessons and things like that. So dynamics. But anyway, ta-da. That is this book. Like I said, easy read, longer than I expected. And it wasn't body, it wasn't pornographic. It was, you know, it was just like sex. I went home with that person, sex, and we had sex, and then it was move on to the next thing. So it wasn't talking about anything else. It was just yay. So there we go. But it was a lot of it. It was a lot. It was exceptional, and of course it was dramatic, and so people were tested. They were put to the test, and some of them came out true in the end, and some were double-crossing jerks. So that book. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.